Hi Ingrid, let's take a look at this new set of essays you've sent us. Let's see, the first one is about weddings, spending a lot of money on them. Do the advantages of this trend outweigh the negatives? So let's see what you said. Experts throughout the developing and developed world have argued whether wedding couples should go into debt to pay for the dream wedding. Some cultures believe it is a once-in-a-lifetime event and money should not even be a considering factor. Yet other people disagree and spend as little money as possible. This essay will argue both sides using examples from Oxford University and the UK government. Okay, you're supposed to argue both sides, so that part's good, that part's fine, but they have asked you really directly if the benefits outweigh the disadvantages. So you really need to address this in your introduction, and I will show you right away why. Okay, so here I have the band descriptors for task 2. Take a look at task achievement, band 7, at the second bullet. It says, presents a clear position throughout the response. Okay, so the key word here is throughout. Throughout means from the beginning to the end. And so that means that your position, that is, whatever your answer is to the question they have given you, that needs to be clear from the very beginning of the essay. How can you make that clear? By stating your position in the introduction. Okay, so let's go back now to your body paragraphs. On the one hand, ample evidence shows most people spend vast amounts of money on their wedding day. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, because culturally they will only marry once in their life, and secondly, it is an opportunity to impress and spoil their families and friends. For example, recent empirical research by Oxford University demonstrated that 80% of all couples overspend on their wedding due to impulsive decisions and emotional connections. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that there is a considerably strong case to be made in favor of expensive weddings. All right, grammatically and lexically, it's lovely. We'll talk about the content itself at the end of this correction, okay? On the other hand, although there is a strong case to be made for extravagant weddings, several couples, several feels very limited, like you're talking about a very finite number of couples. So instead, I would have preferred something a little more general, something like many couples. So many couples realize the world is in a global recession and decide to spend as little as possible on their wedding day. For example, an intensive study done by the UK government showed that 70% of married couples have financial problems at the beginning of their marriage and cannot afford a down payment for a house. Consequently, it is possible to state beyond doubt that couples should instead make wise financial decisions and only spend money they have for a dream wedding. Okay, again, grammatically, vocabulary, great. So let's look at your conclusion and then we'll go over it more holistically. To conclude, from the above examples and arguments, it is clear to see there are positive and negative sides on overspending on a one-day event. Positive and negative sides to overspending. I firmly believe couples should stay in their budget and not go into debt for their wedding. In the future, it is predicted that frugal weddings will increasingly grow in importance. All right, this was fine. So, I've been saving it to the end, this analysis about your task achievement, so let's go over that now. Okay, so just a reminder, you're supposed to talk about the benefits of spending a lot of money on the wedding. So what do we mean by that? It means what is gained, okay? What positive outcome arises from spending a lot of money on a wedding. Now, you dealt with that to some degree, but not really. Instead, what it looks like you did here is you talked about the reasons why people spend a lot of money on weddings, but not what benefits come out as a result. I really hope that that difference is clear. It's really important to understand it in order to make sure that your task achievement in future essays will be accurate. So look at this. You said that they spend vast amounts of money. Then you said the central reason behind this. Now, so I kind of feel like the problem arose from this first sentence. You said people spend a lot of money. All right. Instead, what you should have been focusing on is there are numerous benefits to spending a lot of money on weddings. Okay. And then you could have said the first benefit is X. Okay. And then you could have explained why it's a benefit. All right. So even from that first sentence in your paragraph, the framing of this essay was incorrect, okay? Now, here I was okay with this. You said it's an opportunity to impress and spoil their families and friends. So, but again, it comes out like a reason, and what you want is to show that it's a benefit, okay? So when somebody spends a lot of money on a wedding, I as a guest feel pampered. I feel very optimistic and very enthusiastic about this young couple's future. And so an expensive wedding frequently is a very joyous occasion where everyone is in a very festive mood. And sometimes this doesn't come out if a couple spends a limited amount of money on a wedding. Okay, so do you see where the difference is? I really hope that this is clear. If it's not, do indicate it in your next email, and I'll try to explain I'll try to explain it maybe better written, okay? So that's what my issue was here. Now, my issue in this paragraph was that I didn't feel some of your ideas were well connected. So you said that they realize that the world is in a global recession. Okay? So you're supposed to be talking here about the negatives of spending a lot of money. So I felt like this was really inappropriate. Okay? And this made sense to me, that couples have problems, you know, with funding their life, essentially. Okay, but while your example was good, what preceded your example really felt off topic, and it didn't feel related to the rest of the essay at all. Okay, and then you said it's possible to state that couples should make wise financial decisions. Okay, so now, what did you really tell us? You basically told us one reason, one disadvantage to spending a lot of money on a wedding. But look at this. The benefits, plural, disadvantages, plural. So you've really only given us one disadvantage. So an examiner is going to look at that and say that this is really underdeveloped. Okay, I asked for disadvantages, plural, not one disadvantage. Okay, so this is the kind of thing that you have to be really, really, really careful about. Okay, these essays where they ask for benefits and disadvantages, you're going to absolutely have to give more than one. Okay, so while, like I said before, the grammar and the vocabulary and even the way you organize your essay, all of that was very good, but the task achievement is definitely going to cost you in your overall score for writing. Okay, so with that, let's go on to your task 2. Sorry, not your task 2, your task 1, actually. I read task 2, but it's actually task 1. Let's see what you said. The above pie charts compare 8 preferred school courses in 2014 to 7 preferred courses in 2017. Careful with this, please. In New South Wales. So immediately we have some inaccuracy. Overall, the most popular subjects in 2014 were math and geography, which were nearly 60% combined. Compared to 2017, the most preferred subjects were physics, biology, and math, that were nearly 60% altogether. All right, I want you to be careful here. This is your overview, and so you don't put data in your overview. Okay, that belongs in your detailed paragraphs. So instead, what your overview should focus on is words like the majority, basically the majority or the largest proportion, but not really with any data. Because once you start throwing in data there, it no longer sounds like an overview, and it sounds like detailed. It sounds like details. Okay, so while I like what you said here, you need to remove the data. In 2014, the least popular courses taken by less than 10% of students were chemistry, IT, history, and PE with 1, 1.2, 1.2, and 8.7 respectively. In 2017, the least preferred subjects were under 10% were IT and PE with 1.4 and 3.2. For both years, IT and PE were the least favorite courses. Okay, fine. Now let's see. In 2014, there were only 2 courses taken by students between 10 and 20%, and they were physics at 19.4 and biology at 13.45. In 2017, the courses taken between 10 and 20% were math at 13.2 and geography at 8.9 and history at 19.4. Math and history were both about 10% less popular in 2017 than in 2014, whereas history had an increase by 18%. Chemistry was not a preferred course in 2017. Okay, so again, grammar was well controlled, no problems there. I do want to talk about the way you organize this a little bit. Now, what happens is it's pretty much what I was worried about. You talked about the most popular subjects in your overview, and so when you got to your 2 detailed paragraphs, you didn't mention them again. And that's not okay. Essentially, when you mention the highest numbers or the highest figures in your overview, you're not going to mention them with details. And so, in effect, you have to talk about them again in your detailed paragraphs, but you simply have to go into detail about them. Okay? So, it's not enough to just talk about them in your overview and then just say, okay, I'm done with them, that's it. So what should have happened here is basically just say what the most popular subjects were for both years. That's one way you could have done it. And then in your detailed paragraphs, you could have gone, as the title presumes, that you just go into detail. So that's where you could have given me the figures, those percentages. Because what happened here is there is absolutely no distinction between this overview and a detailed paragraph. So an examiner is going to look at this and say, well, there is no overview, even though you used this word overall. An examiner would probably say, it's not an overview. It's not a clear overview. It's just detail. So that's, of course, is going to cost you in terms of, again, task achievement. Okay? And all you need to do is look at the band descriptors for task 1 to see what happens in task 1, in task achievement, when you do not have an overview. Like I said, just because you use the word overall here, it doesn't mean that this is an effective overview. An overview should highlight what the main trend or trends is, but it has to be very distinct from detail. Okay, so you're really just highlighting that main trend without going into any detail. I hope that's clear. I hope that makes sense. If not, please indicate so in the in your email, in your next essay response, so I can explain it a little further if necessary. So go ahead and correct these essays. Return them back to us corrected. Let's see what you're going to write for your next set. I hope this feedback has been helpful. I hope that you can take the lessons from this video correction and apply them to your next set and all subsequent sets that you have. All right, so good luck, and I'll be waiting to see what you write next.